Hello, and welcome back to the Commander Crucible. Today, we have a 1v1 for you. We have Yawgmoth, Tyrant Physician, versus Sadisi, the Undead Vizier. We recorded a game before this, where the Yawgmoth player had Leyline of the Void in his opening hand, and got to start the game with it on the battlefield. So, the Sadisi player scooped, and we moved on to Game 2. Randy starts the game off with a Swamp, and plays an Entomb, and passes to Rob. Rob plays a Swamp, and does nothing, so he passes to Randy. Randy entombs the reassembling skeleton and puts it in his graveyard. He plays another Swamp, and passes to Rob, who also plays another Swamp, and Randy activates the reassembling skeleton on Rob's end step, bringing it back to the battlefield tapped. Randy then taps 3 for an attrition, and attacks Rob for 1. Rob finally drops an island, taps 3 for a Death Baron. Randy brings out his commander, Yawgmoth, Tyrant Physician. Randy plays another Swamp, and he sacrifices his reassembling skeleton to Yawgmoth, where he loses a life, draws a card, and puts a -1/-1 counter on the Death Baron. He taps 3 for a Mimic Bat. Then he demonstrates on how tapping it would look like, and activates the reassembling skeleton, bringing it back to the battlefield tapped. And then he sacrifices it again to Yawgmoth, where he loses a life and puts a -1/-1 counter on Rob's Death Baron, sending it to the graveyard. Randy then exiles it under the Mimic Bat and attacks Rob for 2 with Yawgmoth. Rob plays another island and is secretly playing Dimir instead of Sultai. He taps 5 for a Liliana Death's Majesty. He then uses her plus ability and creates a 2/2 zombie and mills the top 2 of his library. Randy drops another Swamp, and then casts Gonti, Lord of Luxury, getting to exile the top 4 cards of Rob's library, and he gets to choose 1 and exiles 1 under Gonti and gets to play it at any time, and he puts the other 3 back at the bottom of Rob's library. He then taps 2 to bring back the reassembling skeleton. He attacks Liliana for 2 with Yawgmoth, to which Rob takes the hit. Rob plays another island, still no forest in sight, uses Liliana's plus ability, creates another zombie, and mills the top 2, getting Filth, giving all of his creatures Swamp Walk. Randy drops another Swamp, taps for a Soul Ring. Yes, we know it's illegal, but we decided to ignore it in this game as it was casual. Randy then swings all out at Liliana. Rob blocks the Yawgmoth to save Liliana. Randy then sacrifices Gonti to Yawgmoth, losing a life, drawing a card, and putting a -1/-1 counter on the zombie. Then he exiles Gonti under his Mimic Bat. He then sacrifices the reassembling skeleton to Yawgmoth and kills the zombie, draws a card, and loses a life. He then activates the Mimic Bat to make a token copy of Gonti, and he gets to exile the top 4 cards of Rob's library, and exile 1 face down under Gonti. He then pays 2 to immediately cast it, which is Demonic Tutor. He then sacrifices the token, as it would leave the battlefield at the end of the turn, and fails to put a -1/-1 counter on anything, but still draws a card and loses a life. Rob finally plays his forest, and then taps 4 mana to cast his commander, Sadisi, Brood Tyrant. He mills 3 as she enters, and then he uses Liliana's plus ability to create a 2/2 zombie, and then mill the top 2, hitting Muldrotha, and a forest, but gets to create another 2/2 zombie. He then plays Stitch Together, hitting the threshold, and bringing his Death Baron back to the battlefield. Randy then taps some big mana to cast the Massacre Worm, giving all of Rob's creatures -2/-2 until the end of turn, and whenever a creature dies, Rob loses 2 life. This kills the Death Baron, and takes away the +1/+1 counters on Rob's zombie tokens, making them 2/2s again, so they die as well. Rob goes to 21. Randy then taps 2 to bring back the reassembling skeleton, and then immediately sacrifices it to Yawgmoth to kill Sadisi and draw a card, lose a life. He plays a swamp for the turn. Then he plays the Blood-Soaked Champion, which is basically a reassembling skeleton based on attack triggers. He then attacks Liliana for 2 with Yawgmoth. Rob taps 3 and brings out the Ramanap Excavator, and drops a forest from his hand for turn. He then taps 3 more to try and play a Beast Within on Yawgmoth. Randy responds by sacrificing Yawgmoth to the Attrition and then killing the Ramanap Excavator. Rob uses Liliana's plus ability, creates a 2/2 zombie, and mills 2. Randy then casts Yawgmoth again, and plays Liliana of the Dark Realms. Now buckle up, this is where it gets crazy. He uses Liliana's plus ability to go and grab a swamp from his library. And then he immediately puts it on the battlefield. He swings 1 at Rob, and 1 at Liliana. Rob blocks the Blood-Soaked Champion, and takes the Massacre Worm. He drops an island for the turn. Can't decide what mana to tap. Slowly brings back out his commander. He mills the top 3. Gets to create 1 2/2. And then cast Hermit Druid. He finally uses Liliana's plus ability, creates a 2/2, and mills 2. Randy drops a swamp. Randy then pays a bunch of black mana to discard a bunch of cards and proliferate a bunch of times. He finally then activates Liliana of the Dark Realms emblem, making all of his swamps tap for 4 black mana. Tapping only 2 permanents, Randy then casts Liliana Dreadhorde General. Taps only 2 more swamps, discards the rest of his hand to proliferate, bumping Liliana all the way up into ultimate range, and uses it immediately, causing Rob to have to basically sacrifice his board except for 1 permanent of each type. And as you can see, Rob is already packing up. And they shake it up. So that was insane. I never thought that I would see the proliferate ability on Yawgmoth be used in that fashion to basically ultimate 2 planeswalkers in 1 turn. And if you can do that, you're basically going to win. You shouldn't not win. Rob's Sadisi deck did very well, as it was able to recover from the removal that Yawgmoth kept throwing at it over and over again. Rob was able to establish a solid board state 2 or 3 times during that entire game, but every time Randy would just bust out -1/-1 counters on all of his little zombies. That Massacre Worm really did massacre his board state. Yawgmoth is very dangerous, as he's able to just sling -1/-1 counters and draw cards. He's great removal on a commander, and very, very powerful. So, thank you for watching this episode of the Commander Crucible.